Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of Case Me a Christmas Card. Today I'm going to be making this card with a cute little penguin and the mirrored red cardstock for the joy. And I'm going to be starting off with the background. So for the background I'm using this stencil from Picket Fence Studios. This one is an older one called Flowers Stencil, and I thought it actually looked perfect for snowflakes, because of all sort of the flowers sort of arranged in hexagon patterns. So I'm going over this with my life-changing blender brush from Picket Fence as well. And I'm using Distress Oxide ink in Salvaged Patina. I didn't even bother with any adhesive to hold it down there. All right, so my guest today is Jane Clark, who is a fellow Aussie, and her card here is a gorgeous little baby card. And the elements that I'm using, I've used the same colour in the background with stencil. I've got a cute animal, and I have die-cut letters. But, of course, the way I've arranged them is different. And, of course, I've got the spin of having it as a Christmas card. So the little penguin that I'm using here is from a My Favourite Things set, which is just gorgeous. It's called Sweet Holiday Penguins. And I decided to use the little penguin with the Santa hat and the little candy cane. And just stamping it here, doing my trick that I always do of having the magnet too close to the image and then not getting a very good image. But I fixed it, it's all good. And here I'm just going in with some Copic markers. I'll show you at the end the Copic markers that I ended up using. I'll show you what happens quite often when I colour with Copic markers. What I actually start off with is not what I end up with. So I started with some dark cool grey colours, going on to slightly paler cool grey here. So working my way down in the numbers of the Copic markers, from the higher numbers down to the lower numbers. But when I actually got to the lowest number that I'd chosen of these greys, which is not this one, it's the next one, you might notice when I do it, I just thought that looks way too pale. I thought it doesn't look like highlights, so I added some more of the darker greys and ended up covering up pretty much all of that palest grey colour that I used with the second palest grey colour that I used. But I extended the darker regions here. You can see here I'm going to go over with the second lightest grey, and I thought that looked a whole lot better and look more penguin-like to me. Why is it that I always do penguins in the same colours? I should have a look, because penguins aren't all black and white. A lot of them are, but not all of them. Anyway, I used some warm grey just to go around his face and around his belly. I had to add some pale pink to his cheeks. Yes, I know that penguins don't have rosy cheeks like that, but I don't care. I added the same warm grey as a shadow on this candy cane just to start me off, and also on the bobble on his hat and on the fur trim of his hat. And now I'm going in with the reds. So I have the darkest red on the left-hand side of that candy cane, and on the hat I did the darkest red on both sides, so that the highlight was pretty much in the centre. I only used 3 colours of this blend. I didn't really spend heaps of time blending backwards and forwards on it. I just wanted to get it done pretty quickly, and there's the hat done, and very, very quickly I'll get this candy cane done. Alright, so once I've got that, I realised that, I haven't actually filled in his feet, so I coloured that the same colour as his beak, and there are the colours that I used for those of you who like to know. Okay, so I don't know if there are matching dies for this set, but I don't own them, so I pulled out my scissors that I use for fussy cutting and cut all the way around. And I'm actually going to be popping him up on some foam adhesive a little bit later on. Alright, so he's done, he's ready to go. So I've got the background and I've got him, and I now need my letters. So I've got this die from Paper Rose. It's called Big Joy metal die. But I decided to use the individual letters in this die, not vertically, and I decided to substitute the O in the joy with my little penguin. So he's sort of taking the place of the O. So I might keep that O for another project possibly. So there are my letters ready to go. So now I have my letters, I have my background, and I have my little penguin. So let's just arrange them on the card. So this is another difference between my card and Jane's card. Jane actually had her white letters on top of her little cute animal. I've got my animal on top of the letters, not right on top, but just overlapping them a little bit. So I'm just using some liquid adhesive here. I'm using Hero Arts liquid adhesive to adhere these letters down. I'm just going to get my T-square ruler to make sure they're lined up fairly well. And I know that there is enough space in the middle for that little penguin to sit. So they're ready to go. I've got my penguin. I'm going to be adding some foam adhesive. So these are Stampin' Dimensionals from Stampin' Up that I'm using. And I like that these come in 2 different sizes, so you can use the big hexagons where you want, and then there are little baby hexagons as well, so they're very useful that way. I also like that there's no wasted space on the sheets of foam adhesive with the Stampin' Dimensionals, and any adhesive around the edge you can just cut up and use it wherever you like. Now I decided I wanted a little sub-sentiment on this, and I didn't feel like having a cardstock banner sitting on top. I didn't want anything sitting on top of my little penguin. So I pulled out this Birch Press design stamp set called Joy and Peace. And I use it quite regularly at Christmas time because of little joy. It says to the world, the sentiment, so you can put it with anything that has joy in it. All right, I decided I did need a little bit more sparkle on top of the shine from the letters, so I pulled out my Iridescent moonshine sequins from Picket Fence, which I seem to be putting on everything nowadays. Just love them, and made sure they were adhered down nicely. I didn't even bother pulling out my jewel tool, my sequin tool. I just used my fingers and I was all done. So that's my card for today. Thank you very much to Jane Clark for being my special guest for today and for giving me such a cute inspiration to follow for my Case Me a Christmas card. Thanks everyone. We'll see you next time. Bye.